treat I have for you people. Do you even understand the level of sophistication and class bringing for you today? Without further ado, wrestling's richest prize, Mr. Darius Carr.
Uh,
Look at this.
hello. It's great to be here. This had to happen. This was
It
meant to
did.
be,
It did.
and
And
I'm so glad. I'm so glad that we finally were able to dot the I, cross the T, and spill the tea and tell the truth. I love it.
yes, sir. Welcome to the program, Mr. Darius. It's probably I think the last time I set eyes on you was Catalyst Wrestling a couple of years ago. You were booked, I believe, and I was just there to do a little bit of agenting work, in my retirement. But yeah, I think that was the last time I actually got to see you and embrace the way men do. And we had the same moment we just had a moment ago, where it was just like, hey, there's my man. That's what's up. Another guy that gets it. But something I wanted to get into right off the bat here. I saw you tweeting about X-Men recently.
Hmm.
Who's your favorite? Who's your favorite? Who's your favorite? I mean, everybody usually has a bunch, but who is your favorite?
Yeah, and that was a lot of ground you covered there, and I love it. But yeah, for me, my favorite overall, if we're talking like actually like of the X-Men, it's gonna be Cyclops. If we're talking about like the X-Men lore in terms of whether you're good or bad, it's Magneto overall. As an overall, but Cyclops, man, I loved Cyclops, and he gets so much hate, and it's like I'm relatable to that. I'm like, I get that
Yeah,
because he's the
exactly.
guy that he's the guy that's put together. He's the one that is the leader. He's the one that literally when how many times when you were reading the comics, everyone would always talk about Scott because everything
Yeah,
always got back to Cyclops because he was a leader's leader, and
of course.
they're the ones that catch the hate. They're the ones that catch the slack and don't get the love. But like you're holding it together. You're the glue or you're the pillar. I can relate to that.
Of course, and that's a surprising answer, but not from you. So like, not a lot of people would say Cyclops, but I get why you do. He runs the X-Men the same way that you ran the Crusade.
Mm.
Hey, it's about getting it done, folks. It's about accomplishing the mission at all costs.
Right, and staying true to the purpose. I mean, Cyclops never deviated. That's why when like those comics started coming out and they started turning some people, I was like, I started losing interest. Like, oh, Magneto's all in white and he's a hero. I'm like, see, this is fan service now, and I get it.
Yeah,
I get it because the fans are like, well, what if Logan was with Jean Grey, and what if Magneto was the good? It's like it's just not meant to be, and there's a reason for that.
right.
It's like yeah, accept that. Like Magneto is considered to me one of the greatest villains in all of comic book history because
Yeah,
he's so justified. Like the stuff he does is wrong. He's killed so many. You can't just say the guy's good. He's killed humans like they're nothing. Uh,
right,
the Golden Gate Bridge, when he destroyed that, you can't just forget things like that. He just is devoted to his cause, and
right,
it,
right,
it, the whole point of him is to be tragic. It's like he's supposed to be tragic. You don't want him
right.
to be a villain. No one wants him to be a villain, but he is because he will go so far. He takes that extra step that makes him considered the bad guy. He
Yeah,
does those. He'll do it. He'll execute if he has to prove a point. And there is a tragic excellence in that. And you destroy that when well, now he's good. And it's like, well, now
yeah,
you took the struggle away. And that's not
yeah. It's like when they do that in wrestling, when they flip flop people too much. It's like, well, now who cares? But no, that has always been like the best part of like Charles Xavier and Magneto is they are both very justified in feeling the way that they do, and their cause, their mission. I can't blame Magneto for feeling the way he does, having been through what he's been through in his family, and you know we're talking about this like they're real, but hey,
yeah,
it's real to us. It's real to
but no,
us.
it is real to us. But you can translate that to wrestling, and that's
Yeah,
hopefully what people are getting out of this. It's not just X-Men talk here. We're translating it to the business because it's real. It is, this is what we're doing. We are taking that form. We are taking that shape, for viewership. And we have to think about that. You have to think about the dimensions of your character, of a Darius Carter to a Nico Sozio. You know what I'm seeing? What I'm saying, and those are the things that I saw. Those are the things that attracted me to people immediately when I got into the business. When I saw their character, like with you, for example, and you know, I always saw that with you because you were always different. I said, all right, he's going to go in there. He looks like a guy who's just going to, you know, deck you. And you wrestled how you looked. You wrestled how your style was. You weren't going out there. Okay, I'm going to come out with the overall, the straps, and then the boots, and or the shoes, the dress shoes, and the pants. And then you come out there and do 16 different holds and running the rope. You know what I'm saying? You made sense. Like I was like, this guy looks like he's gonna, like, if you talk smack, he's gonna back slap the taste out of your mouth. And that's what you did in the ring, and it translated. You had the kick, you had the spike tombstone. So you did things that made you stand out to me. And that's why it made it so easy for us to get along in the beginning. I was like, you get it. I was like, I could tell when a guy gets it. Whether you're the top of the card or not, I could tell who gets it and who doesn't. You know, there's some guys who were at the top that didn't seem to get it, and other guys who weren't getting the I could tell. I was like, I'm watching their matches. I'm like, that's the guy right there. That's it. But
no, man. Well, I thank you for recognizing that aspect of the character, because, you know, from I'll say 2012 till 2016, when I stepped away from the business indefinitely, you know, I would say that was the most focused I had ever been on any character and my career as a whole. You know what I mean? So I really did think about every aspect of the character, promos, the look, how I wrestled, how I moved, how I stood when I spoke. You know what I mean? And I, you know, he's probably tired of hearing me say it, but like, I owe a lot of that to Drew Gulak, because you know, he was just a lot of the mastermind behind the character. He was also just had a lot of great suggestions as well for a lot of the things that I just said, you know. And I remember him describing it as like, I want you to wrestle like you're the final boss, or like you had to get up from Sunday dinner to go fuck somebody up because shit was getting out of hand. Like, you're not the one that ever has to get their hands dirty, but when you do, it's like, watch out. You know what I mean? And that's what I always sort of took to the character. You know what I mean? Swift, fast, strong movements, hard striking, and just brutality, which reminds me a lot of Mr. Carter, which, you know, and certainly I was attracted to you as well. You know, pause, of course. But
I understood,
because Larry's watching right now. I see Larry Legend commenting, so I just want to make sure I pay respect, because Larry's my first love.
Making it clear.
I can't change teams. I love Larry first and foremost, but no, I mean, I appreciated that. Like, whether it was beyond taping or you know, any show that I ever saw yet, you were always dressed to impress. You know, I've never seen you in sweats other than right before you're about to wrestle. You know, you pull off your mesh shorts and go out there. You know what I mean? So respect to that. And as a matter of fact, that's the only reason I'm dressed up today. I'm in the third floor of my house. I don't go fucking anywhere, but I sure as shit have on my ostrich shoes for no. Yeah. Let's get those Johns in there. Yeah. Those are for Yolanda. But yeah,
I appreciate the effort, man. That's great. Yeah. I'm always gonna. That's it, man. The business is the business, man. And I'm not saying everyone should wear suits, because a lot of people don't look good in suits. So like, some people are just better off not. Oh, listen.
But that's the last time we're gonna say his name. That's the last time we're gonna say his name for the whole episode.
All I'm gonna say to you, there's a lot of guys, man. Even some people on TV, sometimes it's like there's too much, you know, there's too much of this hanging here, or it's like the suits are too big, and it drives me nuts. I can't stand when I see someone, you know, oh man, you know, you're 35 or however old you are, you know, we're professionals on TV, or wherever you were in any walk of life, and you just or you wear a suit and you have sneakers on, and then it's like, oh man.
I fortunately have this one in the closet as well. Like, this is one that I didn't typically wear on shows. This is my heavier, now that I'm retired, suit, because a lot of my my slimmer form fitting ones don't fit the way they used to, but that's okay. It's a new year, new me, and we're gonna change all that, right? That's how you keep
that. You keep that one in the other closet. That's
yes, Right. This is the break glass in case of emergencies, and you need to speak to Darius Carter in front
Oh,
of people. Suit, you
oh,
know. Yeah.
oh, I'm
But
flattered.
yeah. But so how has your? I mean, how was your 2020? I know because it really wasn't. I mean, I definitely feel bad for anybody that COVID has affected. Certainly, anybody that's lost someone or their business or otherwise. But I mean, 2020 has been a pretty good year for me. I've just been trying not to throw that in people's face. But how about yourself? How was your 2020?
Oh, it's exactly the same, and that's I'm not sitting here trying to. Again, you're not trying to make people feel bad for
Yeah, it's
suffering
like,
from a
it's
global
like
pandemic.
right.
Heaven forbid already in life, heaven forbid you're successful, but then heaven forbid
Oh,
you're successful during a global pandemic. It's like, oh, look
right.
at that guy. So I just try to just kind of keep going, but like I am going to talk about my accomplishments and post the accomplishments because I am taking the time out of my life to go get tested to then go to these events. I've gotten tested almost 10 times here, going to make sure that I'm capable for these events because that's the right thing to do. You know what I
Right.
mean? Would I even be getting tested as normally as I should be if I wasn't a wrestler? These are things that sometimes it does improve your life like that. You have to think of it like that. And I'm consistently getting tested because I have to for particular shows before we go out there. And it's not like you're getting to do as many shows as you were before. So now it's
No,
about
it's been really. I mean, you see things here and there, but it's been very minimal outside of main television programming. There have been very few companies that have been able to pull it off safely and successfully.
that's it. That's it. And then you also can't announce a lot of it because you're wrestling and then it's recorded for a later time. So I've done a lot of matches that I can't talk about the date or I can't talk
Right.
about the location. I have to wait until it's released before I can then advertise it. So there were some things with that, like so then you have the Paris is bumping, you have the Camp Leapfrog, which are up and coming promotions, and I was like, well, I have to be part of those things because that's what's catching fire. That's what's in the right way. You know what I'm saying? That's what's grabbing eyes and grabbing attention and being innovative and being different in a business where you need it right now. The pandemic, it's not just about wrestling. It's coming back. It's about coming back and doing something a little different. It's going to expose some places. It's like some places that were kind of coasting and kind of doing the same stuff over and over. Well, here's a pandemic. Your roster is going here and there. What are you going to do? And
Right.
I like that. I like the fact that promoters and promotions have to step up now because there were a lot of promotions that were kind of running the hamster wheel. And it's like now you are forced to have to do something different. You're forced to adapt.
Yeah, and simply a lot of companies that will not be able to afford to run in this environment where I imagine a lot of states have put into play temporary guidelines for running shows. I mean, I'm sure it's different for Jersey. I mean, you're up in Connecticut, right?
Right, right. But a lot
You
of
know what
what
I mean?
I'm
Like
doing
in
is
Jersey and PA, and I mean, like I'm close to all these, tri-state area joints. I mean, I'm in South Central PA these days, but nevertheless, like to run or even to train, like I can't imagine. It's got to be hard. Like I see these pictures, we all still follow each other and shit. But I'll see some of these training pictures and everybody has a mask on, and it's like, you're sweating all over each other and shit. Like what's the mask doing? You know what I mean?
yeah, right,
And
right.
did you guys really get tested before you trained? And did anybody stop at Wawa right before you came,
Right,
or whatever? Like, and if you
right,
did, you might have just picked the shit up. Like you might
right,
have just,
right.
and now, so like it's a fucked up thing, man.
It's a risk either way.
It's bananas.
It's a
Yeah,
double-edged sword, man. You either wrestle or you don't. You know what I mean? And if you don't
yeah,
wrestle, you're right. If you don't wrestle, you're sitting on this
you're
very
quitting.
long bench that everyone else is sitting on.
Yeah, yeah,
Or if you do, it's like, well, you get tested, but then anyone can have it at any time. So it's like you got to be smart in how you approach people and how you communicate with people, and it is what it is, but you have to adapt is the whole point. Adaptation is necessary in life, and this pandemic is forcing adaptation that really should have happened a long time ago. There should have been a lot of changes a long time ago.
yeah.
We stayed for change. But you know, and it's funny because I was talking about that in 2013.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
You know what I'm saying? And now it's
yeah.
like here's people in 17, 18, 19 talking about it. And to link it back, that's why I called myself, because someone asked me the other day, like, what do you call yourself, the All Father? And I'm like, all right, well, I think it's pretty clear if you're paying attention. But if
Yeah.
not, you know, think about it. Like, I was saying a lot of this stuff a long time ago.
Yeah,
And
man.
it
And
was like,
nobody likes to hear that. Nobody likes to hear "I told you so," or anybody that's. I mean, I think it's when you're right about a certain thing. Nobody
mhm,
wants to hear "I was right." You know what I mean?
right,
It's because it's what you were right about, but they don't
right,
want to hear it. You
right.
follow me?
Right. And that's just, you know, listen, I don't, it's not my fault. I mean, this is just the way the world works, and this is just how you can study people, you can see what's going on, you can see what's happening, and I'm gonna, you know, I say it how it is because at the end of the day, like, why hold on to that? You know what I mean? Why hold on to something? If I ever have an idea, I want to put it into action then, because that may help me come up with a better idea, as
Right.
opposed to just, you know what I'm saying? Like sometimes you just have to play the card because now that you've played it, it's going to make you play something different. You hold on to something, it might not be as effective 2 years from now as it is now. So sometimes you just got to say it. And that's how I just feel about the truth. If it's there, if it's real, I'm just going to speak it. You know, if it hurts, it hurts. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I got to hear it, and and I've had to hear it, and I had to sit down and think about it.
Larry says it's because you're a diva,
I see him. You
and
know
then,
what?
and
Thanks
he
for
said,
watching,
he
Larry.
said that's why you call yourself that. I tell you what, Larry Legend.
Uh,
Well, thanks for
welcome.
tuning in, Larry. But
Yeah, thanks for being here, Larry. You're welcome. You're welcome. All right, I tell it how it is, and that's the bottom line. Okay, so I said it. I'm deliciously cold blooded, baby.
Yeah. Like I was gonna ask you the specific meaning of that, but I inferred from it exactly what you just said. He's the all father. The same way, like you're the alpha of the fathers. Like you're
Mhm.
the like if there's a stack of fathers, you're the one at the top, the all father. Like
Right,
what is so fucking hard to understand about that? Like why,
right.
like get it
It's a
together.
tribute to. It's a tribute to like the forefathers of wrestling, and like, you know, the Nick Bockwinkel's, you know, and the Carl Gotch and stuff like that, and Billy Robinson. Like, it's just those types of things, and I draw inspiration from so many places. But that's where I was. I was like the father of change, and then it was kind of like, all right, well, everyone's saying change now, even though I said it first. Everyone's
Huh.
saying it. So now I got to adapt. And then I was like, well, you know what? I'm just the father of everything. I'm the all
Right.
father because yeah, because
Right, right.
yeah, because I say it and then it happens. I predict things. I'm cognitive and it bothers people. It makes people think I'm like a certain type of way, but it's like I'm just calling it as I see it. I just see how trends are going to go. You know what I'm saying? I don't need to wait for you all to walk toward the cliff and fall off to know that you're marching towards a cliff. I can see it. You know? So shame on me for calling it out, but
Mr. Eric Corvus, Darius has always been Darius, good or bad. Same with Soz. Love you both. And now
uh,
I'm not 100% sure if that's a good thing. Now I'm not sure.
well,
Like, because that means that there was bad. That means that there was a good bit of bad. No, I love him too. He knows I love him, and I know what he means. I'm just fucking around.
yeah. Oh, Corvus is a great man, and
The
and I
best.
like that. I
The
like that.
fucking best.
Sometimes it could be tough to deal with. I get it, and when you're younger and this and that, I get it, and we all got to grow. Okay, you know, I've
Yeah,
grown a
dude.
lot.
I fucked up so bad. Dude. I
Yeah,
mean,
we
you
all.
probably heard legends of me before you met me. Like you probably heard what an asshole Niles Young was before you ever met Niles Young. And guess what, dude? When I started in 2002, I was probably 19. By the time I was working, I was 20, 21. By the time I was like winning titles, I was 23, 24. And it's just like the shit just went to my head. And
Right,
I started in CCW, so therefore I was cool, right? You know what I mean?
right,
Like I
right.
started there. I was wrestling in the arena, winning titles in the arena, blah
Yeah.
blah blah. But just making all the mistakes, dating in the business. Ugh.
The
Don't
tough
come.
one.
I did that twice. Like you did that twice. Like how do you fuck that up twice? But yeah,
It's a
but it's
business.
fun. It's fun to watch kids do that now, and I just see them on Instagram. And I'm like, you don't know yet.
You know, no,
This is gonna
look,
end so bad for you. This is gonna end so fucking bad.
that's the way you're marching, and that's the way that it goes, and that's the nature of the business, and it really does help us grow. We do grow in the business. Me, I started in college, you know, in 2008. in September, and then 2 months later, I started training to wrestle. That was November of '08.
Right.
So I was juggling college and getting my business degree and getting in psych and everything like that while being a wrestler. So, being 20, 21, and then you win championships, just like you say. And it's just like you're committing so much to your character. And here I am going to school, and then I would make sure I have suits for Darius Carter. I would make sure that I have the dress shoes. Like, there was so much commitment behind the scenes that people don't know about. And I don't just sit there and shout about it, because that's not the way to do it. You don't beat your chest. Right. If your greatness is going to shine regardless, you know what I'm saying? And I put it on Twitter the other day. I said, listen, you could try to, you could try to block out the shine, but I'm still going to peek through. You know what I'm saying? You could put the blinders on me, but I'm going to peek through. And that's the way that we, that's what helps us keep moving forward in life. We need that. And that's what I was doing that. I was juggling college. I was juggling wrestling and being young and learning the business and the toughs of it, because you come in and you think you're going to do all these things because you're 19 and you know what I mean? And you think you're going to hit all these moves and you think everyone's going to like. There was just
already at that point too, like, and at that point, I'm sorry to cut you off, but I just meant like, because we've all like gone through what you're describing, but like at that point too, like you've stared at yourself enough now in the mirror to think you have the look too. You know what I mean? You're like, oh, I've got the look. I can make the faces. I've already done enough of the moves on the bed. Like, you know what I mean? I'm an athlete. You know what I mean? I can do a picture perfect swanton bomb in a pool. You know what I mean? Whatever.
Right.
Like, I got this. I know how to do all that. But yeah, it definitely, and also at that age, because so you're roughly 6 years younger than me, I guess. I'm 38. So
I'm 30.
Okay, so 30.
Yeah.
But at that age when you're training, you just don't have the life experience enough to know that you ain't shit yet.
Right.
Like, not at anything, not at your job, not in wrestling, not in whatever you think you're doing. You're 20 nothing. You don't know shit. You ain't been through shit. And you just don't have it. You don't have that wherewithal.
Right. And it's different too, because I was doing things like putting my money away and like little investments and being involved in business. So here I am in real life making money, and going to college and wrestling. It's just a lot in your head. And it takes you time and expertise to get to a point where you can compartmentalize, where you can like divide and properly keep things. And that's very important, to have that switch, to know when it's like, all right, this is this and this is that. And that's a hard thing to do. It's hard to almost have success outside of the business, especially when you're early, because you expect certain things to come sooner than they will. And you can't judge the length of time it takes to succeed, because some of the best wrestlers take 15 years to get that sign, and other people get it in 2. Like, you can't judge it based off that. It's not always going to be fair. It's not always going to be what seems to be right. But, certain people are on when they need to be on. Right. And I'm always been confident with that. Like, when it's my time, it will be my time, and I'll be the best version of me that I am. Like, I could say, oh, I wish I was there last year. But you know what? I'm so much better now than I was last year.
Right.
So it's like, you can't be upset about that. You can't let that anchor you down.
Yeah. You have to be constantly working on yourself and improving, whether somebody's watching or not, whether you think they are or not. A lot of people encourage that. But what do you make of the current climate when you speak of things like that? It just made me think. I wanted to ask you, like, as it pertains to, you were talking about how some people it takes 15 years, and it made me think how, like, I got out of the business in 2016, excuse me, right before my son was born. And it seems like just in the nick of time for everyone I've ever known to get signed. I got out of the business right when they were like, well, we're going to take every single person you wrestled and put them somewhere on television. Sammy and the Chris and, everybody. I'm trying to think of who else, but just like everybody, like Eddie Kingston now, and like guys, like this was shortly after the time that Steen and those got picked up. You know what I mean? Yeah, Court agrees. Excuse me.
The Ring of Honor 2000s, as I like to call them.
Right. But like, what do you make of today's climate as far as I feel like although there are people deserving getting opportunities and getting contracts places, I feel like there's a lot of social media panhandling going on these days. Where
Definitely.
and like, what do you make of all that? Like, what's your opinion on that shit? Where it's like, if I get enough fucking retweets, maybe I'll get a match on AEW, or you name it,
Yeah, well, and let's be honest, and that's what we talk about is like it's great to see a lot of people get signed or get those opportunities, because there are some of them and quite a few of them that really do deserve them. You know what I mean? And it's nice to see them in certain positions, and it's nice to see them on TV. It's nice to see them shining, but there is that honest look where you do see other people get the opportunity, and like, oh, well, I see why they got it. Like, I know why you're there. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's not to say you're not good at all. It's not to say that you're not talented. It's just I could look and be like, oh, I get why you're there. Okay, quick. Like, I thought it was going to be sooner. You know what I mean? And it's like, I don't know. It's just talent is talent. It needs to be the focus shining through. And it's just a tough business now because so many people it's funny because it's like you make a joke out of it. You say, like, the guys that got put into the lockers, like the guys that got jammed into the locker.
Sure. Yeah,
and let's think of it like this, because whenever you see someone get jammed into a locker, or you see someone get bullied, you always want to, like, see them succeed. And the thing is like, but that's a person too, and that person can have flaws too. And it's like the bully that gets to the top, or I'm sorry, the person that was bullied that gets to the top, that doesn't mean that they're going to do the right thing once they get there. You know what I'm saying?
No. That's what a lot of people feel like Bill Gates is doing right now. You know what I mean? Like, Bill Gates, like, we'll say I'm not one of them, but maybe I am. Like, right. I don't trust that motherfucker. Why is he so concerned with the vaccine? Blah, blah, blah. Right. I could go down a rabbit hole here, but Bill Gates, how do we know that he has good intentions in mind? He doesn't want world domination because he couldn't get his dick sucked when he was in college or whatever. You know what I mean?
Right. And some of these guys, man, and I just see that mentality. Like, I do see, like, that high school mentality of, like, it brings me back to, like, walking down the hall and seeing 6-7 people all huddled together, and they see you walk by and they, like, all share a look and then go back to talking. And then you see the next week, you see another kid is in there, another kid, and it's 9 people. And it's just like something, they're all buddies, and it's like,
it's the group. It's the clique.
Yeah, but they're the popular ones. It's like they're the ones throwing the parties. They're the ones that if you don't go to that party, are you a cool kid? Like, do
you exist?
Do you exist? Are you worth it? Like, what are you even, like, why would I even look at you? Like, it's that type of mentality. And I lived a good life. I've been blessed, and I've not been bullied or anything. I'm just saying I've walked down the same hallways and seen that. I've seen that happen. And that clique culture, we're too over that. And there are people that have kids in the business that are doing that. And it's tired. It's really tired. And it's like the fact that it just keeps going, and it's like we keep pushing under the rug. It's like, stop. Like, there's enough talent in the business that we can get rid of that stuff. And, talented people get the shot. And if you end up blowing it, then you blow it and you go back at the back of the line and the next guy moves up. Like, the business can naturally fill itself out. But we have people cutting in, trying to take people's. It's not right, man. It's like, it's not right.
And it's always been that way. And it's always been that way. There's just it's like a new element to it now. You know what I mean? There's this, and I probably talked about this before on the show, but it bears repeating, especially when I'm talking to another wrestler and in this business. But something has happened in entertainment and show business, not just wrestling, where it's a full-time job, because the more you're like, it's great that you can act or wrestle or be a comedian or play in a band or anything that involves performance or whatever, but your willingness to then share more of your life and interact with your fans in real time literally determines your trajectory on top of whatever it is that you do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I used to give David Starr shit about this, like, and respect to David Starr, even though he got himself in hot water in the last fucking year, whatever. But, like, I would say to him, it's like, hey, dude, like, because you're willing to stay on fucking Twitter all evening and all night, and I'm not, and that's going to give you an edge over me. Like, but don't think for a second I won't beat your fucking ass.
Right.
You know? Like, hold on for a second. I will fuck you up. Like, don't forget that, okay? And also respect. I'm your fucking vet. Respect.
Right.
It's great that you're good at Twitter, but I'm good at wrestling. So fuck you. You know what I mean? We're friends still. I'm just fucking with you. I'm just fucking
David Starr is not my cup of tea, and that, so we don't even have to go there. You know what I'm saying?
No,
That
I'm
guy.
not gonna talk about that.
Listen, no, because you know what it is all honesty, and let's just call a spade here. Is I'm upfront with people. I am who I am, man. And when I first saw him, it was always cool because we talk, we would catch up, and he would tell me, oh, he watched some of my stuff, and we would talk. It would be 15-minute conversations we would have. So, yeah, he did. And this is, but what's funny is he never would project that. It's like, bro, if you don't like me, then just don't like me. It's fine. But you know what I'm saying? Don't sit here. This is the stuff I'm talking about. Don't sit here and talk to me for 10, 15 minutes. Don't sit here and communicate with me face to face, eye to eye, and talk about watching my work and stuff when you don't like me. Like it's so corny. It's so tacky. And that's how he was. And then he jumped on situations to attack me. And I was like, all right, man, this guy. And then I saw how he was with others. And then information was passing on to me. And I know things, and I knew things. But again, if I go out there and say them, I look like the bitter guy, and then who am I to compare to him? So it's like it's best to just let nature take its course, and that's what it did. And now the excrement is in the trash, and that's what happened.
That's how we do it on Struggling with Sozio. I couldn't even say the name of my show because I was so astonished.
I'm not struggling. I'm blessed.
And
there he is in the sea rotting away. You know what I'm saying?
That's what happened. They pushed him out in a little canoe, and they're like, they got the flaming arrow ready, dude.
Like part of me does want to look out into the distance one day, like sitting on the dock of the bay, like Otis Redding style, and I just want to see his head pop up from the water, and I just grab the arrow. It just pops up. He's just way off in the distance. It's just, and it just, oh man, you know what I'm saying? And I want to hear the noise. I want to hear it just.
I think the next time I see him, he's gonna look like Joaquin Phoenix when he was having that episode. He was all bearded the fuck up. I mean, he did have that look going on for a while. But anyway, that's enough of that fucking guy. I love it. I'll call you later and we'll straighten it out. No, fuck it. Now, what I did want to ask you about was you've been a big what's the word? I can't come up with it right now. But as it pertains, it's all the concussions and weed. Sometimes I can't come up with the words that I need to come up with. But we're calling it on the fly. No, as it pertains to intergender wrestling, you've been a big proponent there, and I've always been impressed with your ability to treat everybody the same, and we'll just call it that. You've pulled no punches, no pun intended, when it comes to wrestling the ladies. Where did that really start? At Beyond Wrestling? Did you to start having most of your intergender matches that sort of put you on the board there? Yeah,
I think that's what it was. And that's the truth, is I always treat it all equally. If you're standing across the ring from me, you're an opponent. I'm not going to treat you any less. You trained, or should have trained, and you buy your gear and you wrestle and you travel just like I did and like I do. So why would I look at you like anything less? And you can say there's respect in there because we're all doing the same craft, and it's just about who's better. And there are a lot of women that are better wrestlers than men. So it's kind of like it is what it is. It's like if you look at the average female wrestler now, all right, could be better than the average male wrestler now. And that's just the way it is. I don't make it that way. I'm not the one who's spawning these wrestlers. It's just some are just better, have more instincts, have better instinct in the ring.
Overall athlete. Yeah, just a better overall athlete,
Right. It's something.
The training methods too are different now too. Not just like the in-ring training, but there's just been so many advancements in training in the gym. for not just women, but everybody, like, you know, the CrossFit and things like that. I guess it's made it a little bit sexier to do powerlifting for women. You know what I mean? Obviously, in the last 20 years, we've seen a pleasant uptick in the emphasis on booties, which is okay, you know,
Yeah.
which is okay.
But you
Like,
know
because
what it is? It's also different styles. So like then you have like someone like say a Max the Impaler who's just this big imposing, you know, character, and it's like you're working to your strengths a little bit more. I feel, and I feel like there's a lot of women that are doing that now, which is great to see because it's like they know their character, they know this and that, and it's just going back to the intergender. It's just like I don't care what you are, I don't care what your creed is, I don't care what your background is. Like if you're a wrestler, you're a wrestler. Let's see who's better. You know what I'm saying? I've never had time for that. Like, oh, well, this person, she's this and he's that. Like, if you're great, you're great. And let's get at it. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
It's very, very simple to me. And that did start at Beyond Wrestling. I think it was just like, all right, I just ended up wrestling a girl. And then I kind of was developing this in-ring style of like beating people up, you know? And like,
right.
I may not have looked like somebody that would have. I might not have been the first type of person that you would think that would beat you up. But once we got in the ring, it was like, oh. And I think Drew started to catch on to that. And then it was like, all right, well, let's put him in there in situations with, okay, like they can really mess him up, but Darius can mess them back up too. And it's just going to be a match. Let's record it and see what we get, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, I think we've kind of touched on this as it pertains to you and I, but you just have the perfect look for you also have final boss look about you. You know what I mean? You definitely have the guy at the end of the film who, like, you know, she stabs him with the glass, but that wasn't enough. You know what I mean? He's falling down the stairs and like he's still coming. You know what I mean? And like you know, she thinks she got you, and then there's still one more jump scare at the end, even. You know what I mean? So, yeah, you're the fucking guy. Yeah, you're the guy at the end of the movie that they kill, but it's hard. It's hard.
Yeah. And I take a lot of pride in that. And I don't think there's a lot of people that want to be that person anymore, Nico. That's my thing. Everybody wants to be the hero at the end. The movie has characters in it for a reason. Not okay, you can have your protagonist, your main character, but there's some supporting characters that end up being some of the most popular in history. You can think of Mercutio from back in Shakespeare, if we want to talk about things like that. In every story, there's your main Romeo Juliet, but then there are other characters that capture your heart and capture your mind, and you can be the best version of that character and make the show and still be essential to the show and still be a major part. And I think everyone just wants to be that guy. I love being the final boss at the end. I love to be the villain that's like, you know, putting everything together, maneuvering every piece, because to see the hero come each part of the way, that's all episodic. That's all episodic. To see them, get to this cave and then this dungeon and this, like
and it's fun to be killed too. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's fun to take the fall too.
It is
to take the big fall. It's fun.
Yeah, dude. The oh my goodness, the
climax.
The Crusade for Change War Games match. Are you kidding me? That was like that's what it's about. I love the build up to the Great Fall, because the Great Fall is art in itself. Because it's accomplishing two things. It's you have the good guys that are having their moment, right? But it's also about the antagonist falling. It's duality. Right.
Like
it's not,
there will be a square on that comic book page where like it's just you like laying there, like, and they're focusing on the villain who's defeated, and he's having, you know, like the same way right before fucking Thanos disappeared, he sat there and he's like, they fucking got me, dude. Like, they fucking got me. And then he turned to dust, because you needed that. Like, if they didn't show that, we would have been missing something there.
Because he was powerful the entire time. And then you just wanted to see that moment of him not being powerful anymore. It's not just about him getting beaten. If he just got stabbed and then evaporated the dust, it would be like, okay, he got beat, great. But like the fact that we got to see his emotion before he lost, like when he knew it was over, that's what helped drive it home. When you see him looking at his hand and it's disappearing, you're looking in his eyes. You're looking to see him deteriorate.
Yeah.
But you're looking at his eyes, and when you're looking at him and he's just like, you're like, you want that. There's part of that. And I love to be that, because I grew up on that. I grew up on Ric Flair, who was just the guy. You know, even when they were trying, you know, you had the girls whistling and trying to cheer him, like he was just such the great bad guy because he was it. He was the pinnacle. He had the suits, he had the hair, he had the attire, he had the disposition, the aura. When he stepped into that booth, you were like, oh man. Like sometimes you have to wait, and you're just hating him because you're not him. Ted DiBiase grew up on $1 Million Man, just being that guy, that sticking point.
Kicking the ball out of the kid's hand. He said if he dribbled it 10 times, he'd give him what, $100? I don't remember what it was. 20. And then he got to 9 and he kicked the ball out of the kid's hand. And this was before like kids were in on it. Like nowadays, the kid would have to be cleared. He'd have to be COVID, free and all this stuff. You know, he's definitely somebody's kid or ref's kid in the back or whatever.
Right. Somebody's.
No, Ted DiBiase was ruining the lives of children, like in front of 10,000 fucking people in the Spectrum or whatever, you know?
As the kids would say, he was a menace. And I grew up on those, man. Those made wrestling fun for me. Like, okay, Hulk Hogan, okay, Ultimate Warrior. That's how they always were to me. Yeah, like, all right, cool. Like, I get it. I never hooked myself to them. I never latched them. I latched to Ric Flair. I latched to Ted DiBiase. And then when William Regal was coming into his blue blood character into like the almost boss status Regal that he was in 08 before, everything happened. But the King of the Ring, it was like those types of things were inspiring to me because it's like you really felt the presence, and you could tell why people were going to hate them because they knew they were good, and it drove people nuts. Like I would do that. I would watch it back, and I would rewind and just listen to the crowd. Like Regal's theme would hit, and you would just hear the crowd shift. Woo! No matter what they were doing before. And listen, you can watch ECW, the WWE ECW in 08 and 09. When Regal's music would hit, dun, it was, boo, and that's the art of it. And I feel like a lot of guys just like, I don't know, man, they forget that wrestling is everything. It's not just what you do between the ropes. Of course you have to be a good wrestler. Of course you have to be able to sell and land and feed and all those things.
Yeah.
But
you got to back it up. You got to be able to bring it. You have to be able to bring that. But I think what you're saying is very true. There's a fear to be that. You know what I mean? It's a fear that and I mean, and Black G's has pointed this out about me, and certainly he's going through it now.
Love Black G,
like that guy gets so much heat because people think that he's really that,
right?
Like, you know what I mean? Like he's so good at being Black G's that they forget that it's just a fucking character. You know,
he's
what
such a good person, and the thing is too, he's like an incredible person that people are just missing out on. Whenever I see him in a locker room, we always, we'll chat it up, we'll talk, we watch the match, and do you watch mine? You watch mine, and like just little things. And he's such a good, knowledgeable person, but he plays what he plays so well. And it's sad that we're in a business where you have veteran promoters, people that have been promoting for all this time. How do you not see past that? How do you not see the person? You just see the persona they're playing. You look at me and you just see my persona, then you're a fan. You know what I mean?
A mark. Yeah, you're a fucking mark.
Like it's ridiculous.
Dude, we're gonna have to set aside a whole nother hour to talk about how
the
business has been infiltrated by Mark. And guess what? I'll throw my name in that hat, dude. Like I was a mark in the fucking 90s, and I became a wrestler. And
we're fans. You're a fan.
And ultimately, right. But what I mean is like people like me coming into the business over the last 20 years have ultimately affected it and brought it to where it is because I was emulating my heroes. And then believe it or not, there were people that I wrestled later that were emulating me.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or that, said that they were inspired by me, or what I mean, which is a crazy thing to ever hear. So as that happens, everyone has to understand, and I think you already do, that you just it's like nesting dolls, but like the mark level gets higher and higher, because you get a bigger mark and a bigger mark and a bigger mark until you have what we have now, which is like we said, the nerds have finally taken over and they're playing frenzies. And if you're a real one, if you're a real ass dude like yourself or me or G's, you don't get a seat at the table all the time
No,
because
you sure don't.
you're too fucking real ass, dude. You're too real ass, dude.
I appreciate that, but it's the truth,
Yeah.
dude. We're in a movie right now, and it's little like professional wrestling, Revenge of the Nerds, and
Yes.
and
Yeah.
that's what I mean. And it's like not the nerds. It's not that it's a good or a bad thing to be a nerd, but the whole point is like it's not. They're not always good people. Like that is the point that I'm making. It's like like that can manifest people when you get bullied and this and that. It can make you into something else. But
Magneto. It can make you Magneto.
that's what I'm saying. It's like these are comic book villains that are coming to life. Like this is comic book. Like you have become the bad guy that you were fighting against in your life. As a kid, you are now the bully that was bullying you around. The one that was beating you up after school and taking your lunch money. Like real talk now, let's be honest.
No, I call those people leftists. Right now. And that doesn't mean I'm on the right. That does not mean I'm on the right.
Right,
it just means that those people, like, it's like it's our turn.
Eating dirt for. It's just the way it is. Like the point is it's not good no matter. I'm just saying we're talking the truth here. But people that were eating dirt younger now they're like well now that we're in power we're gonna make such and such eat dirt. And it's like, but wait a minute, like they might not be the same person that they were when they were younger. How many? I don't know. I'm not trying to make excuses for people, but it's like people change and people adapt. And when you get caught in the past and you're living in the past like that, it does come back to you.
Right.
And I think that these like friend circles, it's just like, and they, of course, they've been around forever, but now it's like, now some of them have the power to like give you a contract.
Well, and what's happened is it's not even about the friend circles or whether who's a jock, who's a nerd, or this or that. It's the fact that once you get that power, you now have the power to affect the business, the style of business, the style of wrestling, what fans demand. Look, I'm guilty of it. Okay, the shit that Derek Frazier and I were doing in 2005 and 6 was psychotic and stupid, and the stuff with ladders and this and that. Okay, so like part of it's my fault, but over the last 20 years, the bar gets raised higher and higher for physicality, whether it's the athleticism, the agility, the amount of flips you have to do, the height that you have to fall off of something, the amount of glass you need to lay in, the amount of forearms you need to hit, the amount of Germans you need to fucking deliver. We've done that to ourselves. And I don't think it's good or healthy, not because it's, number one, it's hard physically to keep up, but two, the physical damage and the injuries that we see occurring on a regular basis, which is why I think so many of these companies have such big rosters, is because you got to constantly replace somebody.
Right. You constantly have to have somebody in the wings and ready in the wings. You don't just want to sign somebody overnight to take their spot. You want to sign them, have them sit where you need them sitting. And then when someone gets hurt, oh, there you go. We're picking you up off the chair. You've been sitting in a chair for weeks. You've been sitting in a chair for months, but we needed to have supplements there. And that's just the nature of the business. And now it's like, well, let's get our friends to be the supplements for our other friends. And it's just like, but it's just
and I guess my point really about having the ability to affect that change is like, without naming names, like there's a reason that the super kick is a punch now. You know what I mean? Right. And it's because somebody who was designated as cool decided to do too many and make it a fucking punch. You know what I mean? And that just is what it is. So like when you let Bill Gates wrestle, the super kick is not a finish anymore. And that's what we should name the episode. When you let Bill Gates wrestle, the super kick is now a punch. What the fuck? So I mean that's the kind of shit that winds me up. And I don't want you to speak on that because you are still very much active, and I want you to have as many opportunities as you can have.
No, I appreciate it.
I would hate for you to say anything on my stupid show that gets you in hot water. But before we got too off topic, what was the young lady's name who you did just have a pretty brutal intergender match with that you bludgeoned real bad?
Erica Lee.
Erica Lee. I saw some pictures of her and I was like, well, he did it again.
Don't say it like that. No, that's no.
No. I mean, by did it again. I mean, he delivered. She came to fight, and he delivered. Is what I mean. She came to
No, I
fight.
know. But
She
some
she
people,
tucked her chin and what?
yeah. So some people they take it the wrong way. Then it's like, oh, you know what I'm saying? It's like, oh man, it's like we're not taking years off each other's career. We're not taking months. Like it was people like, oh, it's like it was her lip. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like if you know how many times you come back with a bloody one of these, dude. Like, I mean, people need to understand. Every match, you should have some blood in here. You know what I mean? Just a little bit, a degree of blood. Whether somebody hurt you or you bit yourself taking a bump. You know what I mean? There should be a little bit of blood in your mouth. Okay, we're wrestling here. This is fucking pro wrestling. But I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, but it was. I remember seeing it too because it happened with the Yakuza kick. And I've always loved that move, and then you do it too, which is great. Or you did it?
Did right.
Yeah,
Still
Matt.
got it. Still got
it. I know you do. You never lose the kick, man. The kick. But that's another thing. But that like I'll always love that move. Masahiro Chono. I just loved with how he did it, and that was really how I got it. I used to do that in WCW versus the World. And I would always hit that running. Yeah, I'd hit that running Yakuza. Like it always looked so good. I'm a simple man.
They sold it like the best in those N64 games. Any running boots, they ate shit on those, man.
They would neck roll. You would always go for a cover, even though you knew it wasn't going to end the match. You're like I know I need my finisher, but that looks so good. The leg, like
that better be 2.5 at least.
Right. I love that, man. But it's funny how that becomes your style because I would do that in the games. Like I would go for a pin just to test you out, and I'd be like, oh, 1, 2, okay. Like a lot of guys forget the pin, man. And then
did you ever do this shit playing that game? I've probably done this where I'll beat the guy unmerciful, so he's ready to be pinned. I'll hit some finish, and then I'll stand him up and then do the Yakuza anyway, just to make that the finish for the replay. So for the replay, it's like, yeah, damn it, yeah.
Once he's all the way in the deep blue, where like it's just he's totally done, and you're hot red. You're like, all right, now I'm confident. You run off the ropes. If you were ever D-Lo, you hit that calf kick just because you love you love the noise of it. Then it's like 1, 2, 3. It's like, all right, but you sky high me twice and release the pin. Like, come on, guys. But no, those are the times, man. But back to I guess Erica Lee. Yeah, that's what I mean. Is like she, in all due respect, I mean she's a very talented wrestler, and it's like I want to be in the ring with talented wrestlers. You know, whether they're man, woman, you know, non-binary, it doesn't matter to me. If you're talented, and let's get in there. And that's what she did, and she brought it. And she was fighting too. When she got that Yakuza, I mean, we were dropping some bombs in there, and that's just the nature of the beast.
Yeah. And I think that's what people not necessarily expect out of you, but they expect out of those types of matches at this point, where everybody coming to a wrestling show knows it is what it is. I don't got to say the words, but you know, I think they still want to see that brutality a little bit, that physicality, a little bit of, I guess, a strong style, especially when it comes to intergender stuff. And I think realism. Realism. And you've done a tremendous job of setting the tone, I guess, not just at Beyond Wrestling, but everywhere you work and everywhere you've had the opportunity to do that. So kudos to you, my friend.
Thank you.
But yeah, no, I'm always impressed. I'm trying to think. I've got a few other questions I wrote down here. I know we're coming up on an hour here. I don't want to take up too much of your time, sir.
I'm here with you, man. It's been a long time. If we're gonna catch up, we catch up. That's
so. Does wrestling survive if COVID doesn't end soon? Does pro wrestling survive the way it is?
I think pro wrestling is. I hate the cockroach analogy because I hate to compare anything.
Sure. But it's actually a good thing in most cases because you mean it's a survivor, you know?
Right, exactly. And wrestling
just
is
an ugly bug.
Right. Wrestling is just such a unique art form that has existed for so long. I mean, longer than long, since almost the dawning of time itself. I mean, wrestling has just been a thing. I don't think it'll die even if things stay the way they are now. It's just going to be a more regulated form of professional wrestling. And I think it's going to be this way for some time. We're not going to be seeing large crowds like that, and nor should we, because we still don't have a handle on the situation. Until you have a handle on the COVID, you have no right to ask or tell anyone to pay to see your event. That's absolutely right.
Yeah, pay to risk your life.
Yeah, pay to risk your life. Are you nuts?
As a performer, though, like as somebody who's still performing, still has aspirations of doing this, that, and the other thing, does it change? Because it would for me. So I'm just saying I can only answer for me. Does it change how you feel about performing and your willingness to perform and give it your all if there's no people? If there's not going to be people anytime soon, or possibly for the rest of your physical wrestling career, does it change your attitude towards performing?
And that's funny too, because I've had this conversation with other wrestlers.
Because for me, I know I wouldn't want to do it. I'd be like, I'm wrestling for screens now. I'm all set. I'm all set.
You know what's funny? I'm unbothered by it. If anything, I think it's another form of evolution and adaptation, because that's what I love. So let's put it like this: the Thunderdome for me is one of the most brilliant things ever.
Oh, it's a great adaptation. It's the best solution to the problem now.
Right. You can still charge. You can still get your money, or you can still do that. You're reserving your time on TV. Like you have.
It looks good. It looks good, surprisingly too.
It looks great. You can still do the pyro. You can still just put on a show. And I love the Thunderdome. I actually think that's the way that people should be going, until you can properly put people within safe proximity. The whole 6 foot, like there's some places it's like you're not doing it. You're trying to make it look good for the camera. But then when you're off camera, you're all huddled together. Like it's just a bad message. And there's obviously going to be battle royals still. There's going to be some parts of wrestling that, okay, like, you're still going to take that risk of putting people in the same. But if you're going to take those risks, put it on camera. All right, put it on screen. Make those part of your storylines if you have to do that. But you shouldn't be seeing thousands of people sitting outside during a pandemic. It's irresponsible, and it's sending a bad message. It's sending a message that, hey, it's really not that big of a deal, but people are losing their parents, their closest friends and family to this, and you're going on TV and saying, oh, well, you can sit next to each other because. And then where's the proof then? Where's the proof that everyone's getting tested like we talked about before? Where's the valid, nobody's checking for these things. And then people get sick, and then your storylines have to change because guess what? A wrestler caught COVID because they were hanging out when they shouldn't have been hanging out. Like the Thunderdome, to get back on that point, is to me like, and that doesn't affect me. In fact, I love to see guys work the Thunderdome. Like it's funny because Randy Orton had come out. And that man, his entrance, and anyone who knows me knows that I think Orton is just the best in the world right now. Sure. And he's looking at every individual box. He's working the Thunderdome. He's looking at the fans that are, at home. You're still a fan. You're still watching. It's not, okay, you're on a computer, but I'm still supposed to engage you if I can, right?
Yeah. That's what. And he probably needs that as well. Like he probably, to some degree, I don't want to say deep down, but like as a performer, it's kind of like actors and actresses who have to work with green screens. You know what I mean? But like he can actually see them, so he can still draw from that. You know what I mean? But the same way they'll hold up a statue of somebody and be like, "This is the monster. Be scared of this," or whatever. You know what I mean?
Right, but that's what I mean. That's the art of it. There's an art in that too. So to me, the art of pro wrestling is what I love the most. And I feel like these times are making you and forcing you to be more artful in your approach, to be smarter in your approach. I love working smarter, not saying working smarter, not harder, because I work hard. I love to work hard. I live on the hustle in my life and in wrestling. But working smart, there's nothing wrong with that. And it's actually artistic. There's something beautiful about being able to work the Thunderdome. There's something beautiful about being able to get emotion out of physicality without having that crowd perspective to maybe draw on. You know what I mean? There is an art to that. Yeah, I get for the people that are like, listen, I can only wrestle if they're fans. I totally get it. You're 100% justified. But I think there is another side to it. I think there is an artistically pleasing side to it that I am attracted to as well. I don't want to compare one versus the other because it's great to hear the real boos and to
Right. Oh yeah.
I love that. And part of what I do is to see the crowd squirm. Like I like to look into the crowd and see the fans. Like when I grabbed Erica's face because her lip, bleeding, I looked to the camera.
Yeah.
And turned her to the camera.
Yeah.
And I looked at her and I put my face like right next to hers and did the little smirk. And yeah, I want that engagement. Of course we want that engagement as performers, right? But we have to adapt because wrestling is adaptation. Wrestling is not just one way. Wrestling is adaptation. There's a foundation to it that you shouldn't bastardize. Okay.
Sure.
It's not wrestling is whatever you want it to be. It's not whatever you want it to be. Wrestling is not whatever you want it to be. Let's make that clear. There is a foundation that without that foundation, it is not professional wrestling anymore.
Right. And I was gonna say I appreciate that. Although you're saying that wrestling adapts and it has to evolve, I appreciate that you've maintained you've still been the classic man. Like you've been the classic version of it while competing in modern times. You know what I mean? So I definitely appreciate that. But going back to what you were saying though, I know for me, and I think a lot of guys nowadays and girls, I'm an approval addict. And like I'm learning that about myself. I mean, beyond any drug or anything else, I'm an approval addict. I want to hear that I'm good. I want to, I want to hear from like not just somebody saying it, but I want to hear the audience.
Yeah.
I want to hear that I'm bad. You know what I mean? I want to hear that. I want to hear the boos. I want to hear the fuck you, Sozio, whatever. I want to hear that.
Yeah.
And truth be told, I think it was like the Hardy Boys versus Edge and Christian, like the third, like their No Mercy ladder match. It was match. Like I was 99, so I was a junior in high school or whatever. It was that match and those pops that they were getting that cemented for me that someday I wanted to wrestle. Like, that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? So because that was the thing for me, that's why I need the audience. Like the screens aren't going to do it. The screens are not going to pop for that really awesome whatever that I either took or received or gave.
100%.
You know what I mean?
100%.
So that's my stance on it. And I agree with what you said though as well. I think there's a whole different art form to performing in front of no humans. So I think that's a beautiful thing in itself. And obviously everybody's having to learn to do that. That is getting picked up now that has worked in front of people for 15 to 20 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, listen, and let's be honest here. I mean, if you have your preference, of course, we want to wrestle in front of people. I'm not saying I prefer to wrestle in front of.
Oh no, I didn't say. I didn't think that. No.
It's just, but to continue on and to promote the right message and do this the right way, if that's what I have to do to continue to be a professional wrestler, then that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to make sure that I'm at the best at it, so that it elevates my game. To see Darius Carter at and I've heard this. They're like, oh, we wouldn't think you'd be at a Paris is Bumping. We wouldn't think that you would do a Camp Leapfrog show. And it's like, well, you thought incorrectly because you thought you knew me. If you actually paid attention to me, you would know that I would be at those shows. I would very much be at those shows to be the gate crasher and be like, this is absolutely unacceptable. I'm here to shut the whole thing down. I want to switch and cut every cord. Like, that's what this is all about. And it's sad that people have these thoughts of you and want you to be a certain way. And then they're like surprised when you're not you don't fit in the box that they put you in. I'm like, I never agreed to be in that box for you to sit here and characterize me and then be surprised that I didn't make a decision that you thought I would make when you don't even know me. Like, that's what I love about, not what I love about the pandemic, but like what this has all brought out. Because my plan was to try and travel this year. I wanted to get out to back to the UK. That was literally 2020 for me. Was like, all right, Darius, let's get out of this country and let's take your style. You're getting, people are really digging your style and stuff, but get your style out of the country and then just come back and just be even more undeniable. Like, that was my plan for 2020. Like, I wanted to try to go to Germany. I wanted to get out to Canada, at least to just dabble.
Yeah, and there's something about that, and we touched on it when we were texting back and forth. But like, there's something about that increases your clout a little bit. Like once you're able to say I've been here and I've spent some time there, whether you shit the bed there or not, people just automatically assume. And that's not to say that you would ever do that, but I mean, you would go over there and murder the whole scene. But like, it's one of those things where it's like, I've been over here and here and here. I'm better than you now. Check out my resume.
All you have to do is just take the picture in front of the banner on the wall, and you inside the ring, you're like, there it is, and it's like you don't have to show any photos of your matches or anything because you just made it. But that was my plan, and literally that was turned on its head and immediately, and it's like, all right, well, how do I adapt? I could stay home and wallow and plot, or I can just stay at it. And that's what I did. Is I was like, all right, well, I'm going to keep doing it. And I did it the right way. I'm doing it the right way. I'm getting the stats. Listen, you're doing the best you can. There's no way you can do this 100% perfect, because I could step outside the door, say hi to a neighbor, and who knows who has what. But
sure. And everything could change tomorrow. You know what I mean? Right. Or, we're adapting with the times. I think back in March at my job, they were like, all right, we're going to go home for 2 weeks. 2 fucking weeks turned into a year, dude. It's like, so nobody knew that. Like, we thought we were going to go home for 2 weeks and come back as if that was going to take care of it. And it didn't. So yeah, like, we all got to roll with the punches now. You can't just sit
and there's a part to that, man. Yeah. And that's like my whole thing is like my character, my essence, Darius Carter has always been about adaptation. It's always been about change and real change, not the fake change that everyone's doing now. Right. Like you're changing the color of the wool that you're putting over people's eyes. That's
and not just a word as a gimmick either. Like real change.
Yeah, like genuine. Like, look, oh wow, like this is different change. Like, oh, like wow, like you're actually like bringing a different flow, a different vibe, a different energy that no one else is bringing, which is in turn affecting the product for the better. That's the change that I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the change where it's like, oh, well, we're going to, what I mean. We're not going to come in and do this. Oh, bring your buddy, this and that. It's very important to adapt, and to be able to succeed in this climate says a lot about my character as well. It says a lot about me as a person, and it says a lot about Darius Carter as a character. It's mutually beneficial. And it's like, well, look, Carter is still out there. It makes you wonder about even more about me and my persona. And I love that. So like, I like that there's something to adapt to, because there are a lot of people that haven't been able to adapt to it. And there are a lot of people that, it's good that this happened. I'm not saying it's good that it happened to them, but there's a lot of people that if this didn't happen, would they have been called out? Would they have been prevented from a top spot or this and that, because they were on top of the scene before, and now once the pandemic hit and truth start coming out, now all of a sudden it's okay to flush them out of the system. And again, and just to bring the name up, because we already said his name and not to be controversial, but David Starr, where he was going towards the top, and it's like, well, that guy would he have ever gotten called out or anything if there wasn't this pandemic, which led to this whole situation. Right. It's like, guys, there's a lot of guys that are doing stuff like that in the business, and a lot of them are in top positions.
There's a lot of things that have been going on in the last year that it's as a result of people being confined in their homes with nobody to fight. So there's been a lot of people out there looking for a fight, mostly with their fingers, but that is what it is. That's just the nature. Like once the floodgates of social media open, this is what you fucking asked for.
Right.
I mean? and guess what? I've said some things on there that I wouldn't say to anybody's face. So I'm fucking guilty. It is what it is. But before we get out of here, you kind of answered it a little bit, talking about what your plans were for 2020. But I mean, whether things, I guess, get back to normal or not, what are your, I guess, main goals for 2021 coming up?
Yeah. So, I mean, to be real, I don't think there is a back to normal. I don't think we'll ever be back to where we were, nor should we go back. I mean, life is about progress, and you have to adapt, and it may not be fun, but we got to be better in tougher times. We have to be stronger in times that promote weakness. You know what I'm saying? Anybody can be down and out during a pandemic, but it takes somebody with fortitude to prosper no matter what.
Right.
And that's what really 2021 is about. It's hard to really set ironclad plans when you know things are more jumbled now than ever. But
Right.
going back to that validation and vindication we were talking about, that's what, okay, maybe you didn't get to do it in front of all these crowds, but guess what? I got the PWI 500 and I got the
Right.
BW 500 and I got to be on more reputable lists, not these like, oh, I got 5 views on Twitter, but like the people that have put in
Right.
time.
Right.
Like, it's not, like, this was the most recognition I've gotten in my entire career. And that's because I was able to hustle during a time where it was difficult to. So it's
Right.
like, you know what I'm saying? So now, is that what it took for you to see my talent, for that to happen? Okay, well, shame on you, but now you know. And now
Right.
2021 is building on that knowledge. And all right, I've planted the seed in your mind, and now here's me watering it every single week, every weekend, every month, and now it's going to blossom, and you're going to see where that can go. I mean, I think 2021, I'm so excited for it in a weird way because
Sure. Yeah.
I feel like I'm sitting taller and standing taller than I ever have, and I'm justified, I'm vindicated, and it's great to have actual support when before you feel like, and you know what I mean when I say this, like you feel like
Sure.
you're just clawing and scratching, and you're just like, Lord, like I'm not gonna give up, but like my fingers are bleeding, and I'm
Right.
like, I'm not gonna quit, I'm gonna grit my teeth,
Sure.
but like, damn, like, oh, and I'm clawing, and the mud is
And
in your
you know
mouth,
what? It's
raining.
something weird happens. Like there's a weird phenomenon that happens when you get to your level in your career. I mean, so you said you started training when?
In 2008.
Okay, so about 12 years now.
All
Like
right.
this is like right around exactly where I was when I turned it on too, man. You know what I mean? And I really turned it up into high gear, but this weird thing happens where um you don't have the opportunity anymore to be like the hot new thing. So
Mhm.
you just have to figure out ways to keep staying hot. Do you
Right.
follow me? Like they're like I really like, and I was a big fan of, he came up through the Dojo Wars program early on in his career, Wheeler Yuta.
Yeah. I
Ugh,
remember
like
him.
I remember pulling him aside at Dojo Wars one time, and like you're not supposed to do this, but like I was like, hey man, look, you're better than everyone here.
Right.
So like you're going places. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I said, just keep at it. I said, I don't know what it is. You move through the ring like you're supposed to. The way
Mhm.
you carry yourself in there, your body language is all perfect already. So I don't know what the fuck's going on here, but you're really good. You know what I mean? So why was
You
I
always
talking?
did that, by the way, not to cut you off, but you always, real talk, were always a locker room standout because you would pull people aside that you felt deserved it. You weren't glad handling. You were never like doing it for anything. Like, that's what made you stand out too, was like you pulled me aside too. And it's like, it's just, I love to see the locker room with that. And like, I'm at that point where you want to be that too, even if it's for the indie locker room that are full of people that maybe, or maybe they're not names, or maybe they're not at that level or something. Maybe some people wouldn't shake a stick at him, but
Sure.
it feels good to be able to see someone with talent and to be at a place, at least of respect, where when you pull someone aside, like they care. And it's like, I love to do that. If I can, like, if I see someone that's good, I'm like, hey, like, just letting you know, or even some people that are established, I told them, hey, like, just letting you know, like, not on any clout stuff, but I legitimately think you're talented.
Yeah.
And and
Yeah.
that can stick with some people. If I think you're good, I'm going to tell you.
I
And
like
you
yeah.
always did that, you know.
Yeah,
So,
man.
you
I
know?
like Casey Navarro right now.
Mhm.
That kid's
Mhm.
really good. I mean, he's small, but he looks good. He moves good. Great look.
Yeah,
He's just like the perfect athlete for wrestling. You know what I mean?
yeah,
He's
big fan of KC too.
but
Very smooth.
my point was, w- at my level where I was and where you are right now, we don't have the opportunity to be like the hot new thing that's taking off.
Right,
Like
right,
for
right,
whatever reason, that didn't happen for us when we were the hot new thing taking off.
right,
Like
right, right,
it wasn't that type of business. It was
right.
like social media wasn't everything. You know what I
No,
mean? This was the beginning of it. So
right.
like that all helps. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah, that's
so
so true. That's a
but
good
yeah,
point. Because people will say to me, like, Darius, like, when do you think before now? I guess to ask myself and my own question was like, when do you think before now was like your hottest time? And I would be like, well,
it
listen,
hasn't happened yet. You should be like,
right, right.
it's coming. It's coming.
It's still right. I was like, I still haven't even
I'm in it. Yeah.
I haven't even, and that's
The answer is right now. It should have been like the answer is right now. Like a moment ago, it was a moment ago, and right now it's right now, and in a minute it'll be then. That's just fucking complicated answer to that.
And that's the whole point of, and that's why I like to keep you watching and to keep your eyes on the product. Like people, it's funny because I've been Darius Carter for such a long time, but like people have still not seen anywhere near. They have not seen the best. Because like if you want to talk about times where I was, even if like the Crusade times when the Crusade was red hot, like 2016, and it was like we were facing every team. We were at every Beyond show. We were facing
everybody.
Everybody.
Going over too.
Yeah, like and we were getting the W, man. We were getting put up against guys that were going on TVs, like Tony Nese, NYWC. He was in WWE like a month, 2 months later. You know what I'm saying? Like even the War Games with Samoa Joe, he main evented. He went to the E like a month, right? He went right after. So it's kind of like we were like the Crusade was really at that time, but even then, that was Darius Carter in a group setting.
Yeah.
You know, like
and also learning as you went. You were still learning as you went even then. You see, you know what I mean? And that's why I keep saying, like, when was your hottest moment? It's always the fucking present. Because it's been you were hot then, shit was hot. And it's not like you lost any steam or momentum. You learned from that, and now you're better than you were then. So to answer that question, it's right effing now.
Right.
You know?
That's it. I appreciate.
But as far as matches and stuff, are there any that you can talk about that you have coming up, or not necessarily yet?
So I know the first match that I'm going to be having is Warriors of Wrestling. You know, they've been running for 13 years and they run every month. So, you know, they may not be like the biggest, but like they're still out there and hustling and still able to put out content during a pandemic every month. Which is fantastic. So I'm able to go there. Yeah, so I'm there, and I have a match there against Dominic DeNaro, who's, you know, a talented individual. That was based in a New York area. He's BCW tag team champion, one half of those. And I'm the champion of BCW going on 800 days. So there's that. I defended that against JTG in Atlantic City. So how's that? All right. How's that? I'm not out here clouded playing games. I was in there with JTG. I ran the rope. Yeah, I got you. People. Oh yeah. I said, yeah, that's what it is. What are you surprised by? Don't be surprised. Watch me work. You know what I'm saying?
I fucking love it.
Dude, it was tremendous, man. But that's coming up. I have a bunch of things coming up. I can't.
Sure.
But the camp Leapfrog, they're doing something on the 17th on IWTV. You know, it's going to be 1985 is what they're advertising it. So it's going to have a very retro type feel. So that you can keep your eyes on. But other than that, all you can really do is just follow me on the social media, and I'll post about it.
I was going to say, and that was my next question is, what are all your socials so people can follow you there? I usually do that at the top, but hey, we're doing it now.
No, it's good too. And right before I get into the socials, also talking about Pro Wrestling Magic.
Sorry about that.
So now, because that's where I had the match with Erica, that was on IWTV. That was Pro Wrestling Magic's first, not IWTV, I'm sorry, Fight TV. And that was Pro Wrestling Magic's first Fight TV pay-per-view, and they've been around for 5 years, and I was in the main event. So it's like, this is what I'm here to do, man. Like, I'm not playing games.
That's special.
And so social media would be Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all at Mr. Darius Carter, Mr. Darius Carter. It's all the same. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I'm very easy to have access to reach. So that's where I'm at. And then I also have the
and if you're not sure if you found him, he looks like Cottonmouth from the fucking
Daredevil.
What was the series? Daredevil. No, Luke Cage. Yeah. He looks like Cottonmouth in the Luke Cage series. So if you're not sure if you found the right Twitter, look for Cottonmouth.
That's it. Long live the chief. I said hail to the chief.
Long live the chief. That'll probably be the intro outro song for the episode, because like I always pick a song that either deals with the topic, my guest, or something pertinent to the episode. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But
take us out with long live the chief.
Cockroaches in the rat shit.
Ah!
Dude, I know the song. Don't act like I don't.
We
You think I
all
don't
do.
know the fucking song? I'm a Mark. But,
It's such a good
but
song.
no, Darius, thanks for joining me, buddy. I really appreciate you taking this much time to chat on a Sunday evening. I know you're a busy man. You probably, I mean, I guess not tonight or not these days, but I would say you're probably late for a classy steak dinner somewhere. You know what I mean? But not so much nowadays. Not so much. But yeah, man, we got your socials covered. I think we've covered everything. You got any parting words for anybody? You want to throw any more shade before we get out of here? Or it doesn't
No,
have to be shade, just parting words.
yeah, parting words is just like on the real stuff. Just is stay true to yourself, and just if you feel like you're doing things the right way, just keep pushing on that. And it sounds cliche, it sounds corny, but like I've been me all this time, and you know that from the beginning. I've been me. I've grown and adapted, but I still have kept the foundation of who I am. And it's gotten me to where it is now. It's getting me there. Like it took time. It may take time, but it will get you there. Like you can be successful in this life without having to be someone you're not. And I really wish more people got that. I wish guys like David Starr got that, because if he was just himself, maybe he wouldn't have gotten in this situation, or maybe that's just who he is. You know what I mean? But
No,
it's just
and
like,
you know what? Right. And behind the scenes, not to curtail it, he is a good guy. You know what I mean?
okay. So that's what I mean.
Anytime you got the guy alone, it was a different guy.
But that's how it is. But that's what I mean is, who knows, who's to say things corrupt you along the way, because you want to get over, you want to be on TV, you want to be popular, and
Especially
you
when
do
you're young.
things that compromise your integrity. And it's unfortunate because the business promotes that you should do that sometimes. So sometimes good people get lost to a bad way. And my whole thing is like, you can just don't make those decisions if you can avoid it. It's just like, just stay true to you. You may not get that TV spot immediately. You may see the person next to you get it before you. But like, if you stay true, if you stay right, you keep your head on and you commit to the task, you can and will be okay. You will get there. Look at Eddie Kingston. Kingston now is on TV. He's been doing it how long has everyone been saying Eddie Kingston is great? And now he's finally there. Like, he did it his way. He didn't have to chill with certain people. He didn't have to text certain people at this time of the night or whatever.
Yeah,
He did it.
yeah.
He didn't lose his integrity. So my parting words are: be successful without surrendering your integrity. That's
I
it.
like that.
That's it.
That.
Real success. You're not really successful here if you got to submit something. If I got to give you the rest of my chest for the heart, I'm cutting off the nose to spite the face. Don't do
that.
it.
I like that a lot. I like that a lot. Hey, folks, thanks for joining us. And as always, if you didn't have a good time, you can go fuck yourself.